Matt's Garage, and today I'm going to be changing a strut in my 2000 Dodge Neon, and I'm just going to show you the process. It's pretty simple. The reason why I'm actually changing it is I want to add this lift strut. It's a modified strut that I made for the car, and it's got this extra plate here to give some extra ground clearance, and also the struts that are in there are worn out, so I'm going to be changing that. I've already got 3-in-1 oil put on the fasteners so that they'll come off easily. It's pretty simple, but you do have to remember to remove the brake line bracket there. Right there, it's a 10mm bolt from the back side. And then you just remove these two 18mm nuts. They're splined on the front side, but you may have to hold them on the front side too. They're 15 on the front side and 18 on the back side here, so I'm just going to go ahead and buzz those off now. So another little tech tip for you: if you've got your nut stuck in the socket like that, I'll do it up here so you can see it. Normally I'd just do this on the floor, but you just like that. Just on a hard surface, you just tap the side of the socket and the vibrations will loosen that nut and it'll pop right out. Same thing again, couple taps and it's out. Now these bolts are just splined in here, so normally what I do is I give them a real good hard smack, just like that, and they just fly right out. Don't beat on them too long like that though. If they're being stubborn, spin the nut back on a few turns and use it to break him free, otherwise he'll mushroom out the end. So now I'll just put the 10mm on and get that brake hose bracket. So there, I got that free now. It's got a little hook there that hooks into the bracket to keep it from spinning when you're loosening it, so that's nice. And then you get yourself a big pry bar and you stick it right in there and you just go like that. Now I already had the top side loose there, but I'll just show you. In the trunk here, there are 3 nuts that go on studs that come through that hole. Right here, they're 13mm on this Neon, and it'd be the same thing on the front end if it'd just be under the hood on the strut towers. Okay, well, I've got the strut out and I've got it side by side with my modified strut here, and you can see the modifications that I've done now, adding a second plate off an old junk strut, and then I just used these plates between here to gusset it, and I also welded the studs there. You can see these are actually the studs on the waist plate that I used just to add it, and these are the studs on the actual plate that's bolted to the strut. So you can see it adds a little over an inch probably of height to the strut. But when you translate that out over that control arm and everything, it equals more than that. It's almost 2 inches of actual lift on the vehicle. Okay, well, putting the new strut in is pretty well just a reverse to taking it out. As I said, this is pretty simple. It's going to be a little more complicated for me because of this extra height in the strut. Actually makes it really difficult to get positioned in there properly. The angle's wrong, and as a result, it's quite a chore. Now while you've got your fasteners out, your bolts, what I like to do is wire brush the threads on them really good, because as you can see they didn't come out that easily. So and they always have a lot of it in an area where they get a lot of grit on them, and the threads get buggered up pretty quickly here. So, and then I of course put a little 3-in-1 oil on them, and then you want to put them back in, going backwards with the nut on the back side, because you don't want rocks hitting the ends of the threads. So what I normally do is I'll put one in and I'll use it as a pivot point, and then I'll get the top end lined up before I put the second one in. And you'll notice that you can move this whole assembly around to line up those holes, and you can pull it up or jack it up or whatever. I've got a jack here to help me. Now, because this has a spline on it, once you get it in, it won't be all the way seated, and so you just gotta give it a couple good taps with a hammer and just drive it home so that that spline is set in there, and then that'll prevent it from spinning too when you tighten it down, so it'll really speed up reassembly. Okay, well, we got that strut all in there, and I'll do another short clip when I get it down on the ground just to show the fender clearance. So there we go, I got it all done, all back down on its wheels, and there you can see the new ride height. So quite a bit more fender clearance. I think it's about 1.5 inches that it lifts it up. I already have the same sort of lift struts on the front, so you can see there.